Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. John Beilein was introduced as coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers today. Here's what I learned. He comes from a family of 8 children, including an 80-year-old sister who lives, believe it or not, in Novelty, Ohio. These 8 children have produced a total of 44 grandchildren, which is pretty impressive, but not as impressive as the fact that those same 44 grandchildren have brought in over 100 great-grandchildren into this world. Ohio and Michigan might be important swing states in the 2020 presidential election. I wonder if representatives of President Trump and his possible opponent Joe Biden know about the Beilein family. I know about Bud Shaw. He'll be here tonight. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 23rd and soon-to-be 24th year exclusively on cleveland.com. Bud Shaw is here. He's been here for most of those 23 years, right? Does any one stand out?
No, they're all standouts.
Oh, nice answer.
As long as I'm not hooked up to a polygraph, nobody can prove me wrong.
You've been watching the Jeopardy stuff?
I haven't, and I'm kicking myself. I was with some people today that were talking about it.
Yeah.
I watched it back when Ken Jennings won, I think, $2.4 million.
He's nothing.
Well, he's still got the total now,
yeah.
But the other guy's doing it in a lot fewer.
You don't think it's fixed?
I don't think so.
Like the NFL, like the NBA
like the
draft?
NBA draft, yeah. It's funny how the NBA draft is only fixed when it goes against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
If you're going to fix that event, you don't let the New Orleans Pelicans
You wouldn't
win
think
the thing.
so. You wouldn't think so.
Or the Grizzlies to come in second.
And if you were going to fix these things, you wouldn't let the Cleveland Cavaliers win 4 of them since 2003.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't think.
Did you hear or see any of the press conference, the John Beilein press conference?
No, I've read about it, but I did not get a chance to see it. I was out of the area this morning.
Were you shocked that, I don't know if you heard the opening, that he's got his 8 siblings and he have contributed to this world 44 grandchildren, and those 44 grandchildren have produced over 100 great-grandchildren. Yeah. That's a shocking...
I thought when they said he was great at developing young people that they were talking about at University of Michigan.
Could you imagine, like, all right, we're going to have the Christmas party for the family now. What state
hotel are we having it in this time?
Yeah.
Listen, I think he's going to be a great addition to this franchise. I think he's a very well-respected guy. I know he doesn't have the NBA resume, but I think because of his reputation collegiately, he's one of those guys that can walk in and have some instant respect from. He's going to have to earn it in game situations, but I think he starts off not like David Blatt did, where everybody looked at David Blatt and said, LeBron's going to decide what we do here, and this guy doesn't know the matchups in this league, So I think
he'll have him with the people he's picking as assistants.
Yeah, and we thought Blatt would too, right? But of course, this main assistant ended up succeeding him.
Yeah, who didn't know that?
Yeah, I mean, when that happened, I had somebody in LeBron's camp say to me, "I don't know if I would do that." Put the guy who finished second in the coaching sweepstakes on the same staff.
But the interesting thing about Bickerstaff is they went out and interviewed him supposedly for the head coaching job. They were really interviewing for the assistant coach.
Yeah, you wonder. I mean, I think we've all talked about how smart Bill Belichick is and how he sometimes he talks to players in free agency that he visits with them that he may not necessarily plan on signing, but he doesn't mind hearing about what they can tell him about the teams they've been playing for.
Yeah, exactly. There's double switches.
Motives. Yeah, I think some of these guys have ulterior motives, we'll call it.
Well, speaking of Bill Belichick, he's a pretty good coach. He'll be in the Hall of Fame one day, but
yes,
he drafts people, as you just suggested. What do you think about the fact that Mary Kay Cabot and sources in Cleveland think they've got a pretty good job to get the draft, not this year, but the next year?
Yeah, I've heard 2021. By then, of course, the Browns will be coming off a Super Bowl and picking 31st or whatever,
Sure.
and there won't be much buzz about it, right?
We won't even know what date this
like,
event will take place. Yeah.
Okay.
It actually makes sense for a variety of reasons, one of which is they're pretty centrally located to a bunch of teams whose fans may come here. Talking about Indiana, if you take Indianapolis, Cincinnati,
Pittsburgh.
Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Detroit, you're talking about a couple hours drive for a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, even you could extend it a little bit and even say, Washington and Baltimore and Nashville and play. I mean, there's a lot of NFL population around there.
Right. All right. Did you have an ad lib comment?
I did.
Comment?
Yeah.
I would love to hear it.
It's going to be Browns related. At that much, I know. The rest is,
whatever happens.
Who knows where I'm going, right? Well, thanks.
Well, good
Les.
luck. We're all counting on you.
Yeah. Well, unless that screen. Okay, there we go. We're seeing a change now in how the Browns are being viewed these days, and some of that is justifiable because of the upgrade in talent. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But some of it is also premature. I mean, they were, after all, 7-8-1 last year with no victories over teams with winning records during their turnaround. Also in that premature category, I would place the notion that Jimmy Haslam has finally figured this ownership stuff out, righted the ship. I mean, a year ago, he was going into the season with Hugh Jackson coming off 1-31. His coaching search came down to freddie-kitchens and Kevin Stefanski. Remember him? Haslam is reaping the rewards of John Dorsey's good work and the high draft picks that came from all that losing. I'm sorry, but I'm going to need to see a trophy hoisted around here before I buy into the narrative. In the meantime, things are looking up for a change. The good organizations sustain optimism. This one still has a lot to prove. Are you with me on that? Or
yes,
not?
absolutely. Okay. And also, you might be with me on this one. The picture that showed up at the baptism of Kareem-Hunt. Would you suggest that Dorsey and Kitchens should not wear suits and ties anywhere?
Yeah, they certainly do look a little out of place, don't they? Hey, and listen,
that was a good move.
That was a nice gesture on their part to want to be there. I was critical of the signing. I still, if I were a fan of the Cleveland Browns, born and raised here, I still wouldn't have wanted them to sign this guy before we even knew what his suspension was. I think the only reason they did it is that he's a great talent. And all this talk of, all we care about is the person is clearly not the case when teams do this. So that's all. But I'm rooting for him to turn his life around and to become a better person if that's what this is all about. And if I were them and I had taken this step, I would show public support for him too.
All right, let's take a look at what the Browns did in this busy offseason as they prepare for the 2019 season coming up soon. Here you see the additions. We just mentioned Kareem-Hunt and Olivier Vernon, Morgan Burnett, who sounds like a stock office firm.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I just invested at Morgan Burnett. Greedy Williams, who signed his...
Also sounds like a financial investment guy.
He made a nice investment today, signing his contract. Sheldon Redwine, Austin Seibert. Then, of course, you have Odell Beckham and Richardson and Murray. Taki is the only one not signed right now. And Mack Wilson also. Mack Wilson just sounds like a player, doesn't he?
He does, and I'm telling you, I was all for the Taki pick just to hear you and Doug Deacon have to say that name all season long.
I've investigated. I thought that Taki was from Walla Walla, Washington,
but he's not.
No,
is that correct?
Nor New York, New York.
Okay, very good.
216-575-0403.
Thought that'd be a how come quickie, but go ahead.
Yeah. We have a Facebook question of the day, and that question is, what area do you think the Browns still need to upgrade? We had it yesterday, a report that they were the third best. If you add up the offense, defense, and special teams, they were picked as number 3. Here's what we're looking at now. Glenn Berger says linebacker. That group was weak last year. There hasn't been much improvement at the linebacker position during the offseason. Rick May says more depth on both the offensive and defensive lines. Additional help at linebacker would certainly help, and let's see some competition for the place kicker position. Dennis Davis, still need more linebacker depth. Gregory Sorkos as a kicker, special teams in general, speed at linebacker, but that may have been addressed in the draft. And then Danny Harrison says character. I'll tell you one thing about the kicker. I know in many cases on the football team, you want, because of depth needed because of injuries, you want as many people out there. I think there's an awful lot of pressure on the place kicker. I think that seriously he should be chosen before. There should not be that much competition at training camp and in the exhibition season. I just think there's too much pressure. Pick a guy before and go with him.
Well, are you worried about the preseason bringing too much pressure to a guy you're going to count on making kicks during the regular season?
Yeah, I think I am.
Huh. You just think it would allow him to feel, settle in and be at his best? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think place kickers are looking for depth that's different than an offensive lineman.
Well, I mean, it seems rather clear that they didn't take a guy in the 5th round to cut him.
Correct.
Unless he completely falls apart.
Or the other guy is unbelievable.
Yeah, so if you give him the job, what would you do then? Get Greg Joseph out of camp entirely and then have this guy fall on his face?
It's not like you need camp arms where you have to throw a zillion passes each day to somebody. You just kick the ball.
But what do you do? If you give him, if you reduce the numbers, competition numbers to 1, and that guy has a bad camp, and everybody's looking around like,
there's always a guy. There's always a guy you can bring in at that point,
and it might well be Greg Joseph, who will still be probably a free
still
agent
hanging around.
Yeah.
I just think if it's Joseph or Seibert, I think you need the unlike an offensive tackle or defensive linebacker, I think you need that guy to feel he really belongs and they trust him, and they're not. It's different than other positions.
You're taking the exact opposite tack of Todd Haley during Hard Knocks,
that kicker,
which was that kicker.
Right.
Well, maybe something to be said for that. To the point of what somebody said about linebacker depth and all that, I think they believe that they did address that. Yes. That's how strongly they believe in both of those picks, Taki and Mack Wilson. So.
Taki and Mackie Wilson.
And Mackie. So we'll see, but I still think that you're going to see them have at least show a lot of interest, whether they land him or not, in Gerald McCoy, because I think they feel that they want to run a defensive line rotation. They've added Sheldon Richardson. They're expecting Ogunjobi to be good. I know Olivier Vernon's there, but I think they feel like if they could get one more guy there, that they'd feel really good about it.
You must have read that rundown here, because we want to know if the Browns should pursue Gerald McCoy. If you do, it's only got to be 1 year, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. We heard Bruce Arians say, obviously not the same player he was 4 years ago, but still productive. And so I wouldn't think you would want to get into too many. And plus, his price tag's not going to be very cheap.
How about Tampa Bay? They get rid of him, and then they sign Ndamukong Suh.
I didn't see that signing today. I don't know what did you see the numbers on what that was? I know there was something in what I read today that they were concerned about having cap money to sign their first-round draft choice.
Right.
And so maybe there was a way to structure the Sue contract that McNeil wasn't willing to do.
Yeah, because as you know,
McCoy wasn't willing to do.
As you know, Tampa Bay was trying to structure something to get a trade. That's how the Browns got involved originally in the discussion. Right. Would you like to see him get him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, especially now that he wouldn't cost you a player in a trade. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. Bud Shaw with us. We'll come back in a moment. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. As you know, as you just saw, new content is posted each and every day. We will come back in a moment with Bud Shaw. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today. Earl Averill, seat on the left. He's number 3. The Indians, of course, retired that number. Jack Twyman. What a great story Jack Twyman is with what he did. I've drawn a blank on it now. Cincinnati.
That was a little before my time.
No, Murray Stokes.
Oh, okay.
Jack Twyman was a teammate of Murray Stokes and helped him through financially and all that other stuff when Stokes had that horrible situation happen to him. Walter Wall Carpeting, 1947. Josh Hamilton. Andrew Miller, remember him? He used to play for the Indians.
I do remember him.
And Josh Allen, born in 1996.
1996?
Isn't that what it says?
Yeah. God,
there you have it.
Players are getting younger and younger.
Two ones.
Actually, they're not.
Well,
but
so are doctors, policemen, and priests. I mean, they're all young. Right?
It's terrible.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We started talking about Gerald McCoy and whether the Browns should go after him. Let's take a look at what he did. He's 31 years old. This is what he did with his Tampa Bay hat in the background or something in the background. 28 tackles, 6 sacks, 6 tackles for losses in 2018. And in his career, 296 tackles, 6-time Pro Bowler consecutively from 2012 to 17, 3rd overall pick in 2010 out of Oklahoma. Can't you just see if they sign him, somebody out there is going to say, the Cleveland Browns, an embarrassment of riches.
Well, people used to say half of that for about 20 years.
Embarrassment. However, if you believe that the window is only open for 2 years, 3 years, because what's going to happen is some of these guys, Myles Garrett is an example. The money that they're going to want in another year or two is going to change the face of this franchise.
Right now you have a quarterback
on
a rookie contract who's we know is going to command, $150 million deal at some point.
Exactly. Eventually
it'll get harder to keep a team together.
Yeah, you have to pay the piper eventually, and there's so many examples.
You just
of
hope to have won it by the time you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then you wonder, well, why, other than the Patriots, well, why can't they repeat? Well, that's why they can't.
That's why what the Patriots have done is really remarkable.
Absolutely.
I know people are tired of seeing them.
What about Duke Johnson? Any new thoughts on him?
No, I think they're going to just carry him into training camp and hope that he'll show up and get ready for the season with them. And when there's an issue with another team losing a running back, I think you'll see them make a deal.
Why do you think this?
If they feel even as good now as they do about Kareem-Hunt coming out off suspension when he's due to come off, I think they might be able to try to piece it together and trade him. But we get back to the same thing, Les. Do you want to trade him for a 5th rounder? Would that excite you?
No, not at all, because I think he's a valuable guy. But is this all about him not being John Dorsey's guy? Because before Dorsey came here, they signed him to what everybody thought was a fair contract on both sides, and it seems to me if he was one of John Dorsey's guys, there wouldn't be any question.
Well, I don't know if it's that. I think Dorsey might well want to keep him around right now and just see what happens. But I also think that Duke Johnson's looking at it and saying, I didn't get the ball in this for this team enough when they didn't have all these options, So I think part of it's on him. Yeah,
part of it. Yeah, or it's Dorsey showing strength. I don't know.
I think Dorsey's a smart guy who knows that he probably doesn't want to short suit himself at that position unless he really has a good alternative.
216-575-0403. You can email us at real-les-levine@gmail.com. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of harness racing Monday through Wednesday as well as Saturday evenings and the special racing card coming up this weekend, Sunday, 26th of May. Post time for that is 6 p.m. Players Club members can enter the free handicapping contest every Sunday Chance to win a top prize of $500 in cash. There's free parking. There's free admission every day. That, of course, at Northfield Park. We'll come back in a moment with Bud Shaw. We are seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
When my dad started Nature Stone right here in Northeast Ohio, he created a solution for age-old concrete problems. Unevenness, cracking, pitting, and more. Nature Stone solves all of these problems in garages, basements, and outdoor spaces. Nature Stone is beautiful, environmentally friendly, and always affordable. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. This is a classic. How come the word abbreviation is so long?
They couldn't abbreviate.
It's a long word. We were talking about how you're a wordsmith.
Oh, no, I'm not. Not like Bill Livingston.
Tell me how words are made of. Guys sit around like they're at a poker game and they say, all right, we need a word that elongates a shorter word. How about abbreviation? And then they vote on it?
Well, there's usually some whiskey involved, yeah. I think.
There's got to be a vote. 216-575-0403. Started talking about Duke Johnson. Last year, let's take a look at what he did. 40 carries, 201 yards, 62 targets, fourth on the team, 47 receptions, that's third on the team, 429 receiving yards, fifth on the team, and third in total TVs, all receiving with 3. And again, that tells you that's good for a third back, I guess, but it's not going to get better with...
Yeah, you know, the thing that jumps out at me, and it's not obvious in those stats, is that when Kitchens took over, it's not like Johnson's profile went up in the offense. And that surprised me a little bit because...
That puts all of them together.
Well, the one thing that freddie-kitchens did was he looked like he really maximized how he used people.
Right.
Things he asked Baker to Mayfield to do, I think, were more in line with what Baker Mayfield wanted to do. And the one guy that didn't seem to get elevated by that change and that burst of creativity that Kitchens brought was Duke Johnson. I just thought he still looked like the same guy who kind of emerged in the offense and then disappeared and then emerged a week and a half, 2 weeks later. And so I'll be really interested to see if he really is part of this, what Kitchens is able to do with him this year.
Well, you want to compare the fact that he wasn't really used by anybody, but that equation throws in Hugh Jackson. So it isn't really fair to look at how he did under 3 different regimes.
Yeah, but I mean, we did have Hugh Jackson calling plays one year, then Todd Haley the next,
Right.
and Todd Haley didn't seem to know a whole lot of what to do with him either. The guy from a running back standpoint that I just think has been a fantastic addition is Nick-Chubb, and I know that seems pretty obvious. He was a high draft pick, but I just like everything about the guy, from the way he plays the game to how hard he runs to the fact that you never hear a peep out of him about anything.
Yeah.
And he didn't start out last year as the main focus of the offense either, and all he did was
he worked himself into it.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. 216-575-0403 is the number to call if you'd like. Got anything you'd like to comment on today? I want to go back to the John Beilein hire and press conference today. you always hear about these guys who win the press conferences. Number one, very few guys have lost press conferences.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
It's hard to do. But he did say all the right things. But this team is a team that really, if they started a new season today, wouldn't be any better than they were before.
Would probably be a lottery team again. Yeah.
So you wonder why he had it made in Michigan. My guess is he got tired of, here's a guy who's 66 years old getting a 5-year deal, 82 games a year. But it seems to me he got tired of the recruiting. He didn't say that, but that's the only reason I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be as dedicated, you want the players to be as dedicated to basketball as you are.
Right.
I think college, raises some obstacles in that. Obviously, I know we all joke about, these kids don't go to classes and all that, but they do go to classes and they do have other things, and you are limited to how much practice time you can have with them, and especially in football too. So I could see where he might have just wanted to make this as purely basketball as he could.
Right.
Now, we all know the flip side is he's going to deal with a lot bigger egos and guys that are have experienced success in the NBA and who may not want to hear what a college coach is telling them. All of that stuff will be a separate challenge. But I think from his standpoint, college basketball is coming through one of its worst scandals, college sports. He's always had a pretty pristine reputation. He's had great success there, and with great success without getting like the kind of recruits that Krzyzewski's getting at Duke.
And the ones that he did get, when you look down the line, look how many guys. It sounds like I'm shilling for him, and I'm really not. I'm just using facts. You look at you look at some guys who made the NBA who weren't McDonald All-Americans.
Yeah, I mean, like an example would be like Tim Hardaway Jr., who I don't think was a 5-star kid coming out of high school. He ends up being a lottery pick. Now, he gets some credit for doing that, obviously. He turned himself into a good player, but I think Beilein also showed that he knows how to take these guys and make them be their best.
And he's had former NBA players who turned their sons over to him, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and we know, and he's coached not just at Michigan. He had a nice career at West Virginia, where he coached Mike Gansey, who's
in the
on
Cavs
staff
organization.
here in the Cavs organization. So he'll walk in with some people advocating for him already, which is important in that league.
Right, doesn't have to sell himself. All right, we're halfway through. Bud Shaw with us. We'll take a break. Come on back. Lines open 216-575-0403. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively right here on cleveland.com. You can voicemail the voice of truth and reason by calling 216-200-6650. And you can call anytime, leave a message 24 hours a day. We will answer it on the show or respond to it on the show. It's hard to argue with a tape recording, but we can do that. Bud and I return in a moment exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
It
happened very fast when the Cavaliers became showed they were really sincerely interested. I left the greatest university in the world. Some of you Ohio State people may not agree with that. But it left the greatest university in the world, a place that was special to Kathleen and I and our entire family, to come to some place I think was equally as special. I see a lot of the potential and the high ceiling with the Cavs organization that I saw at the University of Michigan, that we saw at West Virginia, that we saw at Richmond, Canisius, Lemoyne, all the way back Erie Community College and Newfane Central. So it's been a great week, not a good week, but a great week. And the more that I find out about the Cavaliers, the more that I find out about their players. Every individual I meet here, I see this team off the court of superstars that allow us to have a great team on the court. So it's I've coached at every level. I guess I'm going to be the only guy that could coach at every level ever as a head coach, and it's a dream come true to be able to have a position like this. We're going to take our time here. We're going to put no labels. We're going to put no limits on this team. We're just going to do our best every day. I'm a huge growth mindset guy. That every day we're just going to grow a little bit more, and find even small victories and losses. I realize, I think we lost 15 games in the last 2 years combined, right? That's at Michigan. At Michigan. And I realize that will probably not be happening again in my lifetime with the Cavs. But at the same time, it is we're going to embrace all those things and watch. I love the young roster. I love the draft picks and the potential that we have for flexibility now and in the future. And I love working with, I text Kathleen, and we were interviewing potential candidates at the Combine. And I just texted her. I said, I love this. I love being a part of something like this.
All right, if you remember, he coached one of the greatest sporting events in the history of this city, coaching West Virginia, the game against Wake Forest at the Wolstein Center. Maybe one of the greatest games I've seen ever.
Yeah. And I would think that a week into having the job, he should be texting, I love this, especially when they haven't played a game yet. You know?
And what came out, how it was kept secret, he didn't have an agent. You know, these agents make it public and all, or public behind the scenes. He worked out his deal, to my understanding, he worked out the deal to himself. Is he the right fit?
I think, given that they're not going to be,
good.
I mean, it's going to take a while. There's going to be a lot of development needed. My only concern is, again, he'll be 67 years old in February, halfway through his first season with the Cavs. And as they're getting good, and you hope that happens in 3 years maybe, from where they're at, is he still going to be the guy then at age 70? And I hope he is. There's people, but people stay younger a lot longer these days.
Don't you think he's got the replacement set up already in Bickerstaff?
Maybe, maybe there is a succession plan here. But a lot of things seem to change in 3 years' time under Dan Gilbert.
That is true. All right, so one of the players he'll be looking forward to working with is Collin-Sexton, who was named to the second-team All-Rookie team. Almost 32 minutes a game, 16.7 points a game, 3 assists, 43% field goals, and 40% in three-point field goals. And I found it interesting that Beilein talked a lot about analytics. And you would think an old line guy might not be interested in that, but he was explaining how a guy might score 23 points in a game and have 6 assists and 2 turnovers, which looks good, but if you cut it back and raise up the rebounds, might have been a better game. And if it leads to a win, then the analytics work.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand.
I don't understand that part either, but I mean, I think we all understand that Collin-Sexton needs to get better in sharing the ball and making his teammates better. I mean, clearly he's a great offensive player. I thought he had a really nice finish to his season. Early
He got better?
Early on, there were some people really questioning whether he was ever going to get it, even some people in his own locker room.
Yeah.
But he's only 19 years old. Can he become a guy who finishes games with 12, 14 assists?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
But
I don't see it, but he is young.
He is young. He got stronger and better as the season went on, and he turned out to be a decent three-point shooter.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
you
sure.
talked about him being an a guy from the foul line, maybe, but he elongated his game a little bit.
I thought
That's twice I used elongated today.
I know, I like that. It's also not a short word. I found that conversation about if they ended up with a top 3 pick and they got the kid from John Morant from the really great point guard, would they take him in that position and have a backcourt of Sexton and him? Now they don't have to worry about that, obviously, but I thought it was an interesting conversation because Sexton might, when a team gets really good, project as that 6th guy, that guy, shooting guard,
comes off the bench
and just
Vinnie Johnson.
Yeah, and lights it up or keeps you in a game or so. I don't think they'll make their pick specific to any position in this draft, and it's probably good for them.
This has not been a great week for the NBA. You had the draft lottery selection lineup, and you've had some great games in the playoffs, but a couple of things. Number one of the teams is Toronto. That's not good for the American ratings. That's one thing. The other thing is you've had great games in these overtimes, but it's going to lead to sweeps and 5-game series, which they don't want either. So,
well, I mean, who do you think is going to get swept in the finals? Do you think Milwaukee, the Warriors will sweep Milwaukee?
I think the Warriors would win in 5.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, what about you?
I think they're going to have a tougher time with Milwaukee, especially if we don't know where Kevin Durant fits into this with a calf strain. I don't think they'll have much issue with Toronto.
All right. We've had phenomenal play from Steph Curry. I think one of the amazing games ever is when he was scoreless in the first half and then comes back with 33 in the second. And somebody said, well, a lot of them was foul shots. Yeah, maybe, but he set himself up to get those foul shots. So there was a discussion on radio, and we brought this up the other day, and that is, where does Steph Curry stand in the Mount Rushmore of basketball? Is he in the top 10? Is he in the top 20? What is he?
I think he's in the top 20. I wouldn't say he's in the top 10 because when you start going down the list, Les, Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Shaq, Magic, Bird,
Wilt,
Russell, Julius Erving, I think you can get to that number 10 spot and not really feel terrible about leaving Steph Curry out.
Right now, supposedly Isaiah Thomas is in the top 10. I think he would be the one guy that I would let go if you needed to make a deal.
I think he'd be a borderline guy. I just think that if Durant leaves this year, let's assume they win this year. Durant leaves, and with this same group, they win 1 or 2 more.
Right.
Then I think we might just have to say, wow, he was the best player on a team that won, what would it be by that time, 6?
Yeah, but they're talking about the amount of appearances in the playoffs tying the Celtics of the 50s. Celtics only had to win 1 series to advance to the finals. Celtics were great, don't get me wrong.
True.
But they didn't have to go through what
they're the first team since the Celtics to go to 5 straight finals, right?
Right.
But if Kyrie and LeBron had stayed together, couldn't we say the same thing about them?
Absolutely. 216-575-0403. We still have a baseball team in town.
What?
Scores
no, I'm going tomorrow. I'm looking forward to.
Me too. They scored 10
that.
runs one game. I did guarantee last night that they would score at least 2 runs.
Oh, yeah.
So I got that going. I got that going for me. They've got some new additions to the pitching staff. Unfortunately, the relief staff had to come in to play last night. But you've got Bieber, you've got Plutko, guys you didn't think you'd be counting on. Now you need them. You need them badly.
Yeah, certainly Plutko's going to play a big role here. I mean, I think Clevenger, we can maybe assume he's going to come back at somewhere near, maybe not as good as he was, because he was very good before he left.
Terrific.
But then, you know, what are you expecting out of Kluber when he comes back? He wasn't great when he left.
No. All right, I made my reservations for the wine tasting at Sokolowski's. 2nd of June. You're more than welcome to join me. If you want to pay for yourself, you're more than welcome.
You were just offering.
Sunday, June 2nd, Sokolowski's University Inn starts at 3, goes forever, I guess. Let's make history together, featuring the wines from the Wente family estates. They're in their 100th year of operation, and Sokolowski's not too far behind. They started back in 1923. If you want to go to the wine tasting on June 2nd, that's a week from Sunday, 216-771-8967 for more information, or go to sokolowskis.com to find out about the great wine tasting event coming up on the 2nd of June at Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment. We'll get your thoughts on whatever's going on in Cleveland sports. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Concrete in your garage is uneven, cracked, pitted, and just plain ugly. Transform your garage into a welcoming entryway with NatureStone flooring. NatureStone corrects uneven concrete so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping. Plus, NatureStone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get NatureStone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line, a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
In sports history, May 21st, 1952, Brooklyn Dodgers scored 15 runs in the first inning on the way to a 19-1 win over the Cincinnati Reds.
Please tell me there were at least 5 pitching changes. You imagine just letting the start, hey, sorry, we can't expose our bullpen.
Use up the bullpen. All right, let's take a look at this date in Les-Levine sports history. 1983, as a nutritionist tells Les he's got to lose weight, that night he orders a pizza with 6 slices instead of 8.
Very good. That was about self-control.
My response, well, that and it's a start. Everybody's got to start somewhere, no question about that. Let's take a look at what Bieber, Rodriguez, and there's 2 Jefry-Rodriguezes out there.
Are there 2?
On Baltimore.
Huh.
You probably didn't notice because you haven't seen too many Baltimore games.
I haven't watched Baltimore very often, I'll give you that.
No, you haven't. So let's take a look at the 2019 season. Here you see Kluber and Bauer, as well as Carrasco, who's been up and down. Bieber and Rodriguez. There you see. Rodriguez is 1-3, but he's really pitched better than that. And there you have the starting pitching. And the bullpen has been terrific until last night.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Bauer's ERA has climbed up close to 4 now.
Yeah, well, he had a couple of bad starts. I've been thinking, the biggest complaint you always get, and it shouldn't be a complaint, it should be a positive, that the Indians are only projected to be good because of the division they're in. Now it's the other way around because the division still stinks, but they're the off team that Minnesota has to chase after instead of Cleveland. So do you say Minnesota, which I believe has the best record in the game, or maybe second at this point, do you say, well, they're only that way because that's the division they're in?
Yeah. I think we all look at Minnesota now and realize that their lineup always was better than the Indians' lineup this season, and that their pitching isn't as bad as people thought it was going to be. My big question, and I don't know if you and I have discussed this, and I think we have, if they're 5.5 back now, right?
Yes.
If that's 8.5, 7.5, 9, whatever you want to say, at the trade deadline,
Are they buyers or sellers?
Yeah, what do these guys do? Do they
I don't know. Right now,
do they just keep plot ahead and keep playing their young outfielders and hoping their pitching's good enough to catch them?
I've had this confirmed by two good sources within the organization, or confirmed about them, and that what they're hoping right now is obviously stay in it and not get 7 or 8 games out, and they're close to that right now. They're a weekend away from being 8 games out. What they're pinning their hopes on is, hey, we still have 16 games head-to-head with Minnesota, and if we can win 10 of them, that gets us right back in it.
Well,
10 of the 16.
I'll say this. There are other good teams on the schedule, and
yeah, you got Boston, New York.
In the next 15 games, they play the Rays, Boston, the Yankees, the Twins, and the White Sox. And the White Sox haven't been any pushover for them so far.
No, and that's at the end of this big run here.
So that's 15 games against pretty good teams on this schedule, and they better have lost no more ground by that point.
Oh, no question about that. But the other thing that concerns me is you'd say, well, if they get hot hitting-wise, they can jump right in it and win the 10 or 12 games. But the reality is they have nobody that you could look at except Lindor. And actually, Kipnis is hitting the ball a little bit. But you can't say they're hot or they'll start getting hot. You need Carlos Gonzalez to do something. I mean, I thought that was a good addition only because it was the best that was out there, and that tells you more about the players than it does about the Indians at that point. You need him or you need to get rid of him.
You know, he hit, I think, 16 homers last year. We all know that, you know, hitters in Colorado benefit from being out there.
Right.
His OPS in away games has always been significantly lower than it has been at still Coors Field.
Yes.
But even by those standards, right now he's underachieving by a lot.
No, he needs to hit some
even
home
by
runs to get back
his
in.
away standards as a Rocky.
What we looked at before, Bieber and Rodriguez are standing out. Bauer has allowed 14 runs in his last 3 starts. You mentioned.
Yeah, that'll spike the ERA.
That'll do it. You get one bad outing, and of course the relief pitching, you get one bad outing that ruins you for a long, long time. Brad Hand is doing well. I believe he's 12 for 12 in saves.
Yeah, I think the bullpen's been pretty decent, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the areas that we sort of grouped in with or lumped in with the outfield when we were talking about concerns coming into this season. And I think it's probably been, obviously starting pitching's been an issue because of injuries, but aside from that, these guys have been pretty good.
When we get back, I believe we'll take a look at listen to some How Come Quickies.
All right, let's do that.
You got your Sharpie there?
I do. I'm ready to be a judge.
Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. You can catch the excitement of live harness racing Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays, post time 6 p.m. And of course, this weekend with the holiday special Sunday, post time at 6 p.m. for that. Players Club members can enter the free handicapping contest every Sunday for a chance to win the top prize, $500 in cash. Free parking, free admission every day. That's at Northfield Park. Bud and I return one more time. Jeff Shidell tomorrow night. The D-Man Dennis Maniloff on Thursday. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively cleveland.com.
Your basement is damp, dirty, and not somewhere you want to spend time. Let Nature Stone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Nature Stone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery, partners in education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Jeff Shudell of the News Herald will join us, covers everything for that paper. And then Wednesday that will be Wednesday. Thursday we'll go with the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. You can see us live from 6 until 7. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. Again, you can catch us when we do the show live from 6 until 7 p.m. That's Eastern Time. In case you're somewhere other than Eastern Time, that's when we do it. And of course, you can archive any previous show, that of course through cleveland.com. Coming up on the end of the show, Cleveland Bill says, just curious, do you think the Cavs did better hiring Beilein and Bickerstaff than the Lakers did in hiring Frank Vogel? Vogel's a terrific coach.
Yeah, I like Vogel as a coach, but their front office, I think, is wow. I think that's really dysfunctional. That whole Magic Pelinka thing was not good, and I could see where something like that would hang on. The black cloud from that would hang on, because I think neither guy acquitted himself very well.
Cleveland Bill, who goes from sending us that one, comes up with the How Come Quickie. 2 How Come Quickies. How come only a plastic surgeon can come face to face to face with his patient?
Okay.
He then comes back with, and this one,
all right.
You know, how no, this is not John
I know,
Patrick.
but I think I might give Bill a grade too.
Okay.
I have 2 sheets of paper.
That's fine. This one, some of them are so obvious, you wonder why you don't hear them very often. Usually you hear good ones over and over again. How come the Lone Ranger had a sidekick? The lone apparently is not a factor. 9.0, adding the 2 together, dividing by 2?
No, just in
general?
The 2 in general, yes. I like both
All right,
of those.
Mr. Gullible, you know the first one is funny, but you know and I know that I can't use it. Even Bud said that's funny, but you can't use it. Or did you say use it?
I didn't say you can't use it, but I'm not one of the show censors, so I see why you would want to play it safe.
Do you like doing the show? You like coming in every Tuesday?
Yes, I do. I do. So
I can't.
We could, what we could do, Les? We could always run it past the censors, off air, and then use it next week.
Who are they?
Okay, you could always hire censors and then run it past them.
Yeah. Or I can go on the street and say, hey, would you do this if your life's work depended on whether we run it or not? But this one I can use, even though it's giving a little shameless plug to a gas station. How come when I buy gasoline for the baseball season, it's a speedway, not a marathon? You know, it's not a marathon, it's a sprint.
Yeah, so who is that from?
Mr. Gullible. John Patrick, who's far, what do you got? 8.0 for Mr. Gullible. All right, John Patrick, who has been the leader in the clubhouse of late.
Yeah.
I think if he worked, if he had a job, he doesn't have it anymore. He's spending too much time on How Come Quickies. How come when my teacher said name 2 pronouns, I said, who, me? Then he comes back with...
That's, you know what that is?
Yeah.
That's highbrow. That's pretty highbrow.
A little bit. Well, he comes back with this one in your honor, in honor of your illustrious career. How come in sports writing, using a double negative is a no-no? Bud is cranking out a number here for John Patrick. It's pretty good. Oh, he goes into...
I go into...
It wasn't like a 9.7. It's now a 9.75.
I know how bad people are with grammar, because I'm pretty bad too, even though I write.
Well, Kelsey's pretty good with grammar.
So I think
Thank you.
How come Kelsey isn't the best in grammar?
In grammar?
There's some people are going to go, who, me? I don't know. Who, me?
Who, me? Oh,
what?
Who, me?
So we like the quickness of the entry, but we also like the instantaneous understanding of what it is. So I would give them a higher grade if I thought people got the first one immediately.
Oh, now you're judging the audience.
I am judging the audience.
Like George Carlin, if his audience was good, it made him better?
You know, if I was judging the audience, at least
Yeah.
the people who read me.
2.0.
2.0.
There you go, Devin in Concord.
Not you, Devin, I swear.
All right, coming to the end of the show.
Yes.
Cleveland Indians. Are they going to? That's a daunting schedule that you laid out there.
Yeah.
Will they come out alive from that?
You know, I
daunting
didn't
schedule?
look at how. I'm a big believer, as you are, that home field matters in baseball.
Yep.
So I didn't look at how many of those are home games. I think they're probably split fairly evenly.
No,
They're
because
like 5 3-game series.
Boston and New York are away.
Yeah. The Rays
Toronto's
are here,
here.
I believe. Not Toronto. The Rays, I think.
The Rays,
are
I
here.
mean,
and the Twins are here.
Twins are here, and
Chicago.
Chicago's in
Okay.
Chicago.
So I mean, it's not
not
lopsided
terrible.
one way or the other. But
no, it's if you can get by it, then you're happy for it because you'll have to do it again the other way.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they get through that stretch playing pretty well and they haven't lost any ground, it'll tell me that their offense is starting to come around a little bit.
Right.
Because they're going to have to match offense with some pretty good teams right now, including the Twins. And then I'll think, well, okay, maybe at trade deadline they are a team that's a couple games back or a couple games ahead. And I think that changes everything.
If they're going to win some games in that stretch you're talking about, hopefully it'll be against the Twins. So some of them,
yeah,
you know,
certainly
the 2 point,
couldn't
like
hurt.
in hockey, it's
I mean, they're not
2-point
playing
game.
great against anybody in
No.
the division right now. So.
No, they're not. All right, but that division is, I mean, Minnesota's pretty good, but the rest is absolutely horrible. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Bud Shaw. Great job as always. He'll be back next Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, Jeff Shidell. Thursday, it'll be Dennis Maniloff. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.